Tonight, Donald Trump aims harsh new accusations at Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy.
A modestly successful comedian, a dictator without elections.
A radical change in U.S. support apparently hardening fast. An up-close look at that crash-landed Delta airplane, but as pieces are removed from the runway, questions remain.
You have a point where you arrest the descent, and that I don't see that.
And ahead of possible U.S. tariffs, a rush for Made in Canada.
Canadian sales have just gone through the roof, to our surprise.
Can a sudden consumer enthusiasm stick for the long haul?
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. As Russia continues its full-scale invasion, trapping Ukraine in a 3-year fight for survival, Donald Trump has issued a scathing new condemnation, not of Vladimir Putin, but of Volodymyr Zelenskyy, leader of Washington's purported ally. Trump called the Ukrainian president a dictator, accusing him of somehow duping the U.S. into supporting Ukraine and perhaps of deliberately prolonging the war. All this as Putin hailed U.S.-Russia talks on ending it, talks without Ukraine. Paul Hunter shows us how Trump's new rhetoric is fuel for new concerns that the U.S. is turning against friends and embracing enemies.
Thank you very much.
For those who might have missed his scathing words posted earlier on his Truth Social platform, U.S. President Donald Trump repeated them for all to hear at this event in Miami.
Modestly successful comedian. He was really good at was playing Joe Biden like a fiddle.
Slam after slam, targeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy.
A dictator without elections. Zelenskyy better move fast or he's not going to have a country left. Got to move fast.
In Ukraine's war, fighting a brutal Russian invasion the past 3 years, U.S. support under Joe Biden was significant. Trump suggested billions in U.S. aid have been wasted, further help seemingly now out of the question.
I love Ukraine, but Zelenskyy has done a terrible job.
This, the day after Trump stunned the world by suggesting from his home in Florida that Russia's war on Ukraine was started by Ukraine. Just as the U.S. was meeting with Russia to talk about ending the war, but without Ukraine at the table. Zelenskyy was blunt. Trump, he said, lives in a disinformation space. It will be a pleasure meeting Donald again, said Russian President Vladimir Putin, adding, building U.S.-Russian trust is key to solving the Ukraine crisis. The sudden and quickly evolving U.S.-Russian relationship has turned the West on its ear. European leaders, with Canada included, met again to consider what it means and next steps. In Washington, even some Republicans seem gobsmacked.
Vladimir Putin is a gangster. He's a gangster with a black heart.
Putin is a war criminal and should be in jail for the rest of his life, if not executed.
And yet, say others,
what is your solution? That this war go on forever? No one's articulated an ending point. We keep sending tens of billions of dollars over there. No one has even defined what victory looks like. I trust President Trump. He's a master negotiator, and I think he's going to get to a lasting peace.
All of it leading Ukrainians themselves to wonder and worry, now what?
I have really bad feeling that the future of Ukraine is not really bright.
With all of this in mind, Adrian, it is no overstatement to say it may well be the world order is being restructured in real time before our eyes. A remarkable few days for Donald Trump.
Is it even possible, Paul, to ask where this goes from here?
Yeah, well, you can sure ask, but on the bigger picture level, Adrian, what's the end game? No one can say. In the short term, the Kremlin is now suggesting a Trump-Putin meeting may be in the works and soon. Likely in Saudi Arabia. It all seems to be moving very quickly.
All right. Paul Hunter in Washington. Thanks, Paul. Now, Donald Trump has, of course, gone after other U.S. allies, too, including Canada. Now, some are hoping that could give a badly needed boost to Canada's military recruitment. Ashley Burke takes a look at how else the armed forces is trying to beef up the numbers.
A surge in patriotism in the face of Donald Trump's threats. that Canada should become America's 51st state. But is all this national pride translating into a surge of Canadians joining the military?
In the last month, we had about 1,000 more applicants than we did in this time last year, but it's not attributable to any specific incident that we can track so far.
And just to confirm before going into the test?
For the past year, the military's been desperately trying to recruit more people, and it has. But it is still short more than 13,000 regular force and reserve members, and isn't expecting to reach full strength until 2029.
Recruiting and attraction is a very complex human endeavor. It's not just one process or one small change that is going to deliver results.
To address that complex staffing crisis, the military is updating its medical standards, aiming to stop its practice of turning away waves of new recruits with minor health conditions or even allergies to things like peanuts.
We're able to accept folks with a whole host of different conditions. ADHD is a good example, asthma is another, anxiety is another, and the list goes on and on.
But others say it's time for the military to tap into all that Canadian pride Trump's drumming up.
So I would just try to build on this renewed sense of Canadian nationalism and a very old sense that military service is virtuous. It's not something you just do to make a few bucks here and there. It's something you do because it's the right thing to do.
Despite all of Trump's political rhetoric, the Chief of Defense Staff says that so far it hasn't hurt military cooperation between the two countries. General Jenny Carignan describes the relationship with American colleagues as very strong and very stable. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
After decades of halting, starts and stops, plans for high-speed rail in this country are gaining momentum. New details from the Prime Minister today about a line from Toronto to Quebec City. Vanessa Lee breaks down the costs and challenges ahead.
Today, I'm announcing the launch of ALTO, the largest infrastructure project in Canadian history.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says a high-speed rail network will be a game-changer, cutting travel times in half.
It'll stimulate our economy, strengthen the bonds between cities and our two most populous provinces, and reduce costs for businesses.
Fully electric trains would transport passengers at speeds of 300 kilometers per hour along 1,000 kilometers of track, with stops in Quebec City, Trois-Rivières, Laval, Montreal, Ottawa, Peterborough, and Toronto.
For Toronto?
Getting from Montreal to Toronto would take just 3 hours.
I can't wait. It's well overdue. Europe has the high-speed trains, and we really need them too.
The federal government will be spending $3.9 billion on the design and development phase and has chosen a private consortium group called Cadence to run the project, which includes the main operator of high-speed trains in France.
Obviously, having chosen a partner gives us a step closer to project realization.
But after decades of shelved feasibility studies and false starts, any feelings of optimism come with caution. And there are complex challenges ahead, like deciding where the tracks will be laid.
Trying to acquire each and every parcel of land along that corridor is going to take individual environmental review of what the impacts of running a train through that land, but also individual negotiations with the landowners.
The Conservatives' shadow minister for transport calls it yet another promise with no details, with billions spent without laying a single piece of track. The design phase could take up to 5 years. Experts say construction will cost tens of billions of dollars. There is no timeline on when passengers can expect the network to be up and running. Vanessa Lee, CBC News, Montreal.
At Toronto's Pearson Airport, the investigation into that crashed Delta Airlines plane has hit a new stage, the wreckage being removed from the runway as Delta reaches out to survivors. Lisa Shing with how much money the airline is offering.
Piece by piece, crews work to move the Delta Airlines plane off the tarmac and into a hangar for further examination. 2 runways blocked for 2 days. Inside the terminals, most travelers are now on the move, though some delays continue.
Very stressful, but we're heading out at 11 today. Fingers crossed.
And I mean, there are such things we can't control, so.
Sunwing canceled several flights leaving Toronto Pearson, saying it's prioritizing bringing stuck customers back to Canada. On Monday afternoon, Delta Flight 4819, arriving from Minneapolis, crashed on landing and flipped upside down. Come on! Passengers scrambled to get out as firefighters doused the flames. 21 of the 80 people on board were sent to hospital. On Wednesday morning, Delta said 20 had been released. The company now offering everyone on board $30,000 US, which it says comes with no strings attached.
Nobody anticipates the plane turning over upon landing.
One couple retained this lawyer to make sure, he says, that they're treated fairly.
And that their damages are going to be compensated for as a result of this event that could have been much more tragic.
In a statement, Delta Airlines said it's helping crash survivors with hotels, meals, and transportation, but that securing, identifying, sorting, and cleaning all belongings left on board could take a matter of weeks. As Delta's CEO praised the flight crew.
Everyone and the design of the aircraft itself worked as expected.
Investigators are trying to figure out what forces were at play when the plane descended.
You have a point where you arrest the descent, in other words, and pull back a little bit on the elevators to make sure you have a smooth descent. I don't see that.
The plane's black box is in for analysis, so finding the cause of the crash will take weeks, if not months. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
British Columbia is changing its safer drug supply program, ending the take-home model. Now users will be watched by healthcare workers as they consume the drugs.
This helps guarantee that the patient receives care in a safe, supportive environment and significantly reduces the likelihood of diversion.
Diversion means the safer supply is taken and sold on the street. Authorities are also investigating at least 60 pharmacies they believe are involved in that diversion by paying illegal kickbacks to drug users and doctors. Well, Alberta's premier is standing by the province's health minister tonight, again denying allegations of government involvement in healthcare contracts and spending. Julia Wong has been following the story for weeks.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is pushing back against Alberta Health Services, known as AHS.
AHS leadership has always shown us resistance, and it is clear that they would rather keep all surgeries in hospitals only operated by Alberta Health Services.
Her comments come 1 week after AHS's former CEO filed a wrongful dismissal lawsuit. Athana Mentolopoulos alleges she was fired for investigating procurements and contracts, and that government officials, including the Premier's then Chief of Staff, pressured her to sign off on commitments for new private surgical facilities. But Smith says AHS, not the Health Ministry, made all procurement decisions.
They were the ones who went out and received the bids. They were the ones who chose the proponent, and then they were the ones who were charged with the task of negotiating the terms of the agreement.
She also reaffirmed support for Alberta's health minister, who says she didn't initially tell the Premier about AHS's investigation.
It was allegations of internal AHS, and until there's proof, there was not a need.
This political watcher thinks the Premier had a couple of priorities.
She wanted to defend what her government is doing around these chartered surgical facilities. I think she was trying to put forward this counter narrative that maybe these allegations aren't coming from actual wrongdoing, they're coming from AHS's, Alberta Health Services, resistance to make the changes that her government would like to make.
The official opposition wants the government to call a public inquiry.
They have not done a single thing to bring forward trust in this process. What we saw from the Premier, as always, was a masterclass in gaslighting.
An Auditor General review is underway. The province says a third party will also do an internal review.
It needs to be long enough that the public has confidence that it's been thorough. We've been told that's probably 4 to 6 months.
The lawyer for Mentolopoulos tells CBC News the former CEO denies the Premier's claims of AHS resistance and instead says she was working to ensure public health dollars were spent properly. Her former employer, AHS, and the province are expected to file statements of defense in the coming weeks. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Canada's Public Health Agency has secured 500,000 doses of an avian flu vaccine. Officials say this is a proactive move to protect those at higher risk of exposure to infected animals. More than half of the doses will go to provinces and territories. The rest will be kept in a federal stockpile. Canada confirmed its first human case in November. So far, there are no signs of sustained person-to-person spread anywhere in the world. Well, a key organizer of the 2022 Ottawa Freedom Convoy protest has been sentenced for several criminal convictions, and Pat King won't spend any more time in jail. David Fraser shows us the reaction.
A key player in one of the country's largest protests walked into court today surrounded by supporters. Pat King received a 3-month conditional sentence for his role in the Freedom Convoy, far from the 10 years Crown prosecutors asked for.
Mr. King will spend the next 90 days, 3 months back in Alberta under house arrest, and it'd be followed by a period of probation.
He was given credit for 161 days already served in jail. The judge's decision comes 3 years after his arrest, a relief for King and his partner.
I feel honestly like a little emotional, yeah. It's been a lot on all of us, on his family, on his mother.
In court, King apologized to the people of Ottawa for his actions and pledged not to return to the city. But he still faces additional charges for his actions during the trial, including violating his bail and perjury, which means he can't speak publicly right now. In 2022, King was a leader and promoter of the protests against COVID-19 lockdown measures and the Liberal government, known for his provocative online presence.
It's game on, boys. Blow those horns. Let them go. Let those horns fire as loud as you can.
The federal government used the Emergencies Act to end the protests. King is the first key figure from the Freedom Convoy to be sentenced.
You might hate Mr. King, you may love Mr. King, but at the end of the day, that is not the role of justice. We sentence people for things that they did in line proportionally with their responsibility.
2 other leaders, Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, have also stood trial and are still waiting for a judge's decision. That's expected next month. As it stands now, King will be on probation for another year after his house arrest ends, but prosecutors could appeal the sentence. David Fraser, CBC News, Ottawa.
A key witness will not testify at trial about a major drug trafficking operation allegedly run by former Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding. So this comes after U.S. prosecutors warned that witnesses could be put in danger due to Wedding's ties to contract killers. Court records reportedly say the cooperating witness trafficked drugs with Wedding for over a decade. Ryan Wedding competed for Canada at the 2002 Winter Olympics. He's believed to be hiding in Mexico. Well, hundreds of people in one of India's fastest growing cities are stricken with a rare condition.
This jaw became heavy and I was not able to speak.
What's behind the creeping paralysis and why doctors are calling it a public health failure? Next. An East Coast community rallies against intimate partner violence, demanding an urgent response.
We're asking Tim Houston and members of our current government to really prioritize core funding to the gender-based violence and advocacy sector.
And boldly going where no one has gone before.
You are a very small being on this huge mountain.
We're back in 2. In Western India, an outbreak of a rare disorder is causing paralysis. Our South Asia correspondent, Slima Shivji, shows us the life-altering symptoms and the investigation into the explosion of cases.
An everyday task now much more difficult. Avanti Naik has to have her mother with her constantly, guiding her in the kitchen. She's still suffering from creeping paralysis. That's also hit more than 200 others in her neighborhood. She has Guillain-Barré syndrome, or GBS, a rare disorder where a body's immune system attacks its nerves.
There was a swelling here.
It started with seeing double and got much worse.
This jaw became heavy and I was not able to speak. So that time I was very much worried. And then we ran to the hospital.
She spent 2 weeks in intensive care, unable to speak or swallow. Avanti was one of the first patients in Pune in India's western Maharashtra state that's seen a worrying outbreak of GBS, which isn't contagious but has no cure. 9 people have died. Authorities quickly set up dedicated hospital beds, and with the patients all from a specific area of Pune, they started to trace the source, a pathogen known to cause GBS that officials believe came from contaminated water in a well.
The outbreak points to a larger problem, not just in Pune, one of the fastest growing cities in a rapidly developing India, when proper facilities like water purification plants aren't catching up to the pace of urbanization.
For this doctor who treated several of the patients, it's painful to think the outbreak could have been avoided.
This is a public health failure. We need to wake up.
He says while the mortality rate from GBS is quite low, treatment is very expensive, and the long-term effects are hard to predict.
People still having residual weakness or still having symptoms like tingling numbness of both limbs is still substantial. That is the real cost of this war which we have fought in the last 1 month.
A war that's not yet over. The rate of confirmed cases has slowed, but the numbers are still rising. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Pune.
One day after the Nova Scotia government unveiled its new budget, critics want more attention paid to gender-based violence. End the violence! A community rallies demanding crisis-level action and a whirlwind of surprises, tough talk, and unprecedented policy reversals. We look at Donald Trump's first 30 days.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
Ellen Morrow marks some key moments of a fast-moving second term. Plus,
Canadian sales have just gone through the roof, to our surprise.
the changing habits of Canadian consumers in the face of Trump's tariff threats. The National breaks down the stories shaping your world. Next.
Here, get out of the way, get out of the way.
Okay, so firstly, don't worry, this terrible scene ends well. Quick action from 2 trained passersby saved a woman's life near Phoenix, Arizona. An off-duty police officer smashed through the window to give her a chance to get out of her vehicle as flames engulfed it. Then an off-duty firefighter appeared, threw on his gear, and helped the cop get her to safety.
And I just held her. And I just told her I had her. So I just told her I had her and she's okay and she's safe.
Authorities say the woman was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Her car was one of 7 involved in a highway crash. Well, there are growing calls for Nova Scotia to provide more support and more funding for victims of intimate partner violence. Today, advocates rallied in downtown Halifax, but as Kayla Hounsell shows us, despite being invited, the Premier didn't show up.
No more silence! No more fear!
Bundled up against a cold winter day, they marched in the streets demanding action.
Break the silence!
From October to January, 6 Nova Scotia women were killed by their intimate partners.
Let's remember, Peyton Pick.
Peyton Pick was the most recent. The 22-year-old's body found in a home that had been set on fire. Her boyfriend charged with second-degree murder and arson with disregard to human life.
She was taken from us January 11th of this year by someone she loved and trusted. She was my precious gift.
Her mother is also calling for change, inviting our cameras into her celebration of life, hoping to raise awareness.
Together we rise!
Rally organizers are calling for everything from early intervention to education in schools and changes in legislation.
We're asking Tim Houston and members of our current government to really prioritize core funding.
Organizers say they invited Nova Scotia's Premier to speak here, but he didn't respond to their request. They say as a male leader, it is important for Tim Houston to be a public ally.
I get a lot of invites, to be honest. I mean, it's a day of the legislature. It's pretty scheduled in advance, but I'm happy to meet with people.
Someone like him who say one word and gets things moving, it hurts my heart that he's not here today.
Please,
Don't give up.
Nova Scotia's NDP leader, also the leader of the official opposition, did show up.
The fact that we've lost this many lives in our province is awful.
Hours later, she led a debate on a bill that would provide stable funding for gender-based violence prevention.
We need to see a cultural shift within our leaders.
Outside the legislature, demonstrators hope their voices will be loud enough to prevent even one more death. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Halifax.
Now let's break down the news shaping our world.
Canada's very tough.
Donald Trump's threats spark a push to buy Canadian.
Canadian sales have just gone through the roof.
We've doubled our sales.
Why it may be more than just a slogan, but first.
We will pursue our manifest destiny.
Urging expansion, rounding up, deporting.
We're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Gutting government with the world's richest man. Breaking norms at breakneck pace. The first month of Trump. Yeah, that's right. It's been just 1 month. Ellen Morrow gives us a sense of the full sweep of Donald Trump's blitz on Washington and beyond, a whirlwind of change in a remarkably short time.
Tariffs are going to make us very rich and very strong. I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. DEI would have ruined our country, and now it's dead.
Donald Trump's first 30 days in office have been dizzying, with a nonstop slew of executive orders, pushing the limits of executive power.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
Trump threatening the closest of allies.
Canada's been very bad to us on trade, but now Canada's going to have to start paying up.
And upending long-standing U.S. policy.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, the Riviera of the Middle East. Not a question of liking Russia or not liking Russia. They should be sitting at the table.
It's been a lot, and keeping track nearly impossible. So we're going to take you through a few of the key moments from Trump's first month of his second term, starting with day one.
Please welcome the 47th President of the United States of America.
Trump wasted no time.
Donald J. Trump.
Firing off a flurry of executive orders in a packed arena just hours after his inauguration.
First, I'll revoke nearly 80 destructive and radical executive actions of the previous administration, one of the worst administrations in history.
The markers he used, thrown out as souvenirs to the adoring crowd. That night, he signed even more.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
26 orders in less than 12 hours. Trump again withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, removing restrictions on oil drilling, and...
This is January 6th. These are the hostages.
There was that full pardon of more than 1,500 convicted in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Trump also ended government diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
Our country is going to be based on merit again.
And launched his promised crackdown on immigration.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted.
Declaring a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border.
And we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
That frenzied first day set the tone for everything that's happened since, including the ongoing tension with Canada.
They're not viable as a country. They assume that we're going to protect them. That's not an assumption they can make.
Unfortunately, the actions taken by the White House split us apart instead of bringing us together.
Trump's threat of blanket 25% tariffs on all goods coming in from Canada and Mexico has not turned into a reality, but it still could in early March.
Canada would be much better off being a 51st state.
And on annexation, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Trump is serious because he wants Canada's critical minerals.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
Trump is putting economic pressure on other countries too, vowing a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports coming into the U.S., and tit-for-tat tariffs on any country that taxes U.S. goods.
Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success.
But let's go back to that talk of annexation, because it's illustrative of something else we've seen from Trump in these first 30 days.
We will pursue our manifest destiny.
Trump has threatened to seize the Panama Canal,
We shouldn't have given it to Panama.
repeatedly called for U.S. control of Greenland,
We need it for international security.
and unilaterally renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing.
Then there were those shocking comments that Palestinians should be moved out of Gaza so the U.S. can have it.
We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it.
That's a seismic reversal of U.S. policy, and this first month has seen plenty of those.
The leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating.
Trump attacked Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy, calling Zelenskyy a dictator. And Trump said he could meet very soon with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace.
Ukraine was left out of peace talks held between the U.S. and Russia. And with Ukrainians facing their fourth year of a devastating Russian invasion, Trump even falsely accused Kiev of starting the war.
You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
Trump also pulled out of the World Health Organization, and his administration is gutting USAID, shutting down billions of dollars of humanitarian work all around the world. The attack on USAID is being led by Trump's apparent right-hand man, Elon Musk.
Come here, Elon!
Musk has been given an outsized role in Trump 2.0, Time magazine even putting him on the cover behind the president's resolute desk. Musk is in charge of DOGE, or the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE is dramatically cutting government jobs and spending. Tens of thousands have been laid off or voluntarily resigned, and Musk has been given access to sensitive data across dozens of agencies.
You know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it.
Trump is remaking the federal government in other ways, too. One, he fired more than a dozen inspectors general, whose job is to provide oversight. Another, those attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
This is about reforming the system of hiring.
That DEI-ending executive order resulted in countless layoffs of civil servants across the country. Another barred transgender people from enlisting and serving openly in the military.
We will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military.
And that horrific Washington plane crash that left 67 dead? Trump, without any evidence, blamed it on DEI at the Federal Aviation Administration.
Because I have common sense, okay?
As Trump was blasting DEI, he was working to confirm his own controversial cabinet nominees.
Do you solemnly swear?
Tulsi Gabbard, accused of amplifying Russian propaganda, is now director of national intelligence.
So help me God. Congratulations.
Pete Hegseth, a veteran turned Fox News host, dogged by allegations of sexual assault and a drinking problem, now Secretary of Defense.
I will support and defend.
And vaccine skeptic Robert Kennedy Jr., now in charge of health and human services.
Bobby is going to lead a great national mission to make America healthy again.
After RFK's confirmation, Trump signed an executive order barring federal funds from schools that require COVID vaccines. He also signed an order restricting gender-affirming care to transgender youth.
Transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely.
Again, this has all happened in just 30 days, and we've just barely touched on a key issue.
We're going to have the largest deportation in the history of our country. We're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Remember Inauguration Night? Trump signed multiple orders targeting immigration. With that emergency declaration, migrants who already had scheduled immigration appointments were turned away. Immigration officers were given expanded powers to raid churches and schools looking for undocumented migrants. Trump also moved to end the constitutional right to birthright citizenship and suspended refugee resettlement programs. Then there's everything else.
It's a ridiculous situation.
Like this order, banning paper straws from federal buildings.
I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean.
This is only just some of what's happened in the past month. So much of it has been unprecedented, and a lot of it is being challenged or blocked for now by various lawsuits. Though Trump has suggested he's above any legal action, invoking Napoleon, he posted, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." And remember, the issues Trump has acted on are largely the same ones he campaigned on.
Tariff, I love tariff. With their transgender craziness. The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends.
This second Trump administration is what a majority of Americans who voted wanted. And Trump now clearly feels emboldened. Now, normally we wait to talk about a president's first 100 days in office, but with everything that's happened in such a short period of time, here we are, Adrian.
So, Ellen, those lawsuits you mentioned, what sort of caliber of pushback do they represent against his agenda?
Well, with this slew of executive orders has come a slew of lawsuits, challenges to that foreign aid funding at USAID, challenges to those restrictions on gender-affirming care for young people, challenges to the effort to end birthright citizenship, and that's just to name a few. And judges are blocking some of these policies. But there is a question overhanging all of this for now and into the future, and that's how will Donald Trump react to these legal rulings, especially when he's posting things like we showed you in the piece, that he's essentially above the law. He also signed an executive order saying that only the president and the attorney general appointed by the president can offer authoritative interpretation of the law for the executive branch, i.e. the presidential branch of the U.S. government.
Oof, okay, interesting times ahead. Ellen Morrow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, an unprecedented response to unprecedented threats.
I'm only going to buy Canadian.
It's kind of emotional, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes.
Canadian consumers push back against Donald Trump with their wallets. Next.
I'm only going to buy Canadian.
It makes sense to stay local, buy Canadian.
The Buy Canadian phenomenon may be the real deal.
Canadians are definitely putting their money where their mouths are.
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
But can the consumer keep up the rebellion against Donald Trump when the price tag keeps rising? Lindsay Duncombe breaks down how this patriotic shopping wave has grown and why it could face hard limits in hard times.
This is what Made in Canada looks like. Custom golf clubs designed, assembled, tested in this Burnaby warehouse. Owner Joshua Haywood sources as much Canadian material as he can.
It's about as Canadian as a golf company can possibly get, given the restrictions that we have from the manufacturing side.
In the past couple of weeks, business is up, way up.
Canadian sales have just gone through the roof, to our surprise, and I have no doubt that the reason for that is just because of all the issues that we're facing with Trump and the potential for the tariffs. Where are you from? We're based in Canada.
His inbox is filling up with inquiries, trying to find a Canadian brand. I will not buy American. I'm thinking of selling my irons, almost new, and purchasing Haywood irons solely because they are Canadian made. Haywood sells to the U.S. American tariffs would hurt, so new Canadian business is important.
It's kind of a savior. If our Canadian sales continue to increase at the rate that they are, it'll most likely be able to help offset a significant portion of our U.S. sales.
In a recent online survey commissioned by fuel company Petro-Canada, 94% of people responding said it was important to support Canadian businesses. 76% said they were willing to pay more to buy Canadian, and 34% said they had substituted a product they would normally buy with the Canadian option. People who study consumer behavior say the push to buy Canadian is an unprecedented response to unprecedented threats.
I'm only going to buy Canadian.
It's kind of emotional, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes. We spend all day talking about this, unfortunately.
It makes sense to stay local, buy Canadian, and support local businesses.
I don't think I'll be visiting the States really this year, and we'll see how the next couple of years pan out.
I did see an article that laid everything out for you. You can buy this instead of Nikes or Adidas and stuff like that, so it's good to know for sure.
Business professor David Soberman says it's too early to have complete data on just how many Canadians are changing their habits, but something big is happening.
I've never seen anything like this in my life before, and I think because our existence as a country has never been sort of threatened explicitly by somebody who has a lot of power.
The reality is, no matter how much Canadians change their behavior, our spending power alone can't offset the massive losses that could come with Trump's proposed tariffs. And then there's the big question, can we keep this up?
And when we look at how consumers shop, there are factors that influence their shopping behavior.
Melise Panetta teaches consumer behavior and marketing at Wilfrid Laurier University. She says there are psychological and social reasons why people want to buy Canadian, but there's one big factor that could get in the way. A lot of us are broke.
For Canadians today, we're looking at unprecedented financial challenges with the living crisis. Canadians are struggling. And at that moment of decision making, they're going to have to weigh the importance of their behaviors in supporting Canadian products with the realities that they're dealing with in their financial situation.
So you're still happy with this?
Hard times can leave an impression, though. Just ask Julie Brown, owner of Province of Canada Clothing in Toronto.
I'm from a small town in Quebec that was actually a big manufacturing town growing up. And when I was in high school, a lot of those businesses moved to the US and overseas. And it kind of destroyed our town.
Watching those companies pack up and leave, watching family members lose their jobs, planted a seed in Brown.
Any typos in that?
She wanted to make things and employ people at home. And that's just what Province of Canada does.
Obviously, you can't grow cotton in Canada, but we do knit 50 to 75% of our fabrics right here in Canada. So the fabric, a lot of the fabric is made here, and then we cut and sew everything here. Let's order them.
Now, all of a sudden, business is booming as people seek out alternatives to American brands.
In February, we've doubled our sales. So it's been huge. Canadians are definitely putting their money where their mouths are.
A sweatshirt here will run you $128. A toque on sale for $25. Not everyone's budget, for sure.
We understand that not everyone can shop with us. We get that. But for those who can, they've started to make the choice, to shop Canadian and be conscious of how they're spending their money.
There is so much we don't know about what's next. If tariffs hit hard, how many of us will be able to afford new clothes? Or golf clubs, for that matter. But while we can shop, it seems Canadians are using that purchasing power to drive a message south. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
So, the tariff threats from Donald Trump keep coming and keep changing. Tonight, for example, he said he would announce tariffs on a range of goods, including cars and lumber, sometime over the next month or sooner. Coming up, carving a path into the history books.
It is life and death. The fear creates this sharpness, and you are completely laser focused.
The first descent of the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies, next in our moment. Okay, let's look carefully here. Do you see those tiny human figures there? If you do, you're looking at Canadian Christina Lusty and Frenchman Guillain-Barré, standing on the summit of Mount Robson. I know, it's really hard to see. That is the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies. At nearly 4,000 meters and known as the King of the Rockies, the mountain's south face has never been descended on skis until now. So the historic first is our moment.
You can never be the master of the mountains, but it's this pursuing of it, pursuing mastery.
This is actually the first descent on skis of the south face of Mount Robson.
I had been dreaming of this line, I think, for 10 years. It's the King of the Rockies.
What we do is climbing first.
To reach the summit, it's just a small platform. You have, 2,800 meters below you.
And then we try to go down on skis.
We're skiing over exposure, we're rappelling over ice and rock falls. It is life and death. You know, one mistake in a turn or clipping a rock, you are a very small being on this huge mountain. The fear creates this sharpness, and that your courage and fear coexist together. You know, you're feeling just like this euphoric feeling of skiing down terrain that no one has ever gone down.
That was kind of, pure joy. That was really, really nice.
I love you, buddy.
Firstly, Canada, you are so beautiful. And listen, this is not only dangerous and difficult, but it's also exhausting. So they actually had to descend the mountain twice. They didn't quite get to the top the first time, and when they finally did, it took them 3.5 hours to ski down. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.